Okay. Mr. Brickman.
Thank you. My name is Ira Brickman, and I'm from Middle Island. In the now 6 years that I've been attending these meetings, there have been changes, the supervisor pointed out, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak more than once when it's appropriate. It's a good thing. However, I was also under the impression from several years of being here that if the public hearings did not start at 6:30, that they were challengeable or actionable or some such words in a legal sense. I'm not sure whether that's true or not, and I'm not really asking. But I wanted to remind you all that there is a big change. And the big change is that the resolutions are now coming up before the public gets to address the board. It used to come up afterwards for at least 2 or more years. And because of the discussions that ensue here now, which I believe are part of the growing pains of the board, now being not all one party or another, this is likely to continue. But I would remind you all what you already know. This is the level of government that's closest to the people. The reason that people come here is because they feel that that's so. It's not just because there's an opportunity to speak. It's because they feel, as I do, that there is hope that their speaking will make a difference. And this is the one form of government where that's true. I believe that the people who wrote to the local weeklies and that the editorials in local weeklies about it being a travesty that some people were here for up to 10 or 11 hours and still not able to speak is right on the money. And I would urge you all at your next work session to figure out how to make that different. It is true that I have been here at a time when I couldn't speak and I had to wait. But a number of people spoke before me, okay? It's not like it is now where we're all looking at the clock to wait for the public hearings. And that's what I would like to say. Please, make it different.
Mr. Brick, let me just state for the record that what's different now is that anyone who fills out a card relative to a resolution speaks before that resolution is voted upon. That's number one. Number two, as you pointed out, people now can speak more than once. That was never the case before. Number three, the practice of the past, and we're going to take it up as far as giving a specific time period, was only between 6 and 6:30 for half an hour. And then what would happen, because I was here in the prior years, what would happen, if you couldn't make it between 6 and 6:30, then the public hearings and everything else would occur. It would be much later at night before you could speak, this is not a Q&A. You stated for the record, I want to clarify it for the record. So in fact, this board is actually more open to public participation than was the case in the past. But what we intend to do is to allow people to speak with their cards as it regards to resolutions prior to the voter resolution. But there's also been a request to also add back a half an hour, which we can do. I would finally say this. When we start at 4 o'clock as opposed to 5 o'clock, as we do now, that extra hour, we normally got through the resolutions well before 6 o'clock, sometimes within an hour and a half, which would mean 5:30. So then we'd have a whole hour that was solely devoted to the public portion. We don't have that now. The board decided to start meetings at 5 as opposed to 4. So those are some of the things that cause these things to happen later at night as far as the cards. But it's also the number of cards. When you have about 40 cards that have been filled out, there's just no way that they all will be done before the public hearing. It won't happen. But we do try our level best, and if anyone fills out a yellow card prior to concerning the resolution, in almost every case, that person has been able to speak before there's a vote on that resolution. Mr. Kemp, you have 3 minutes.
Mr. Supervisor, if I may?
Can I speak on that also?
If you want to speak on it, fine, but then what's going to happen is we can't hear from the...
this will be very brief.
Well, hold on a second. We can't hear from the skateboarders that have been waiting patiently.
You will hear from the skateboarders. I think there'll be support.
Please,
to put
first
back public hearings.
let's be recognized through the chair. Ms. Bonner, you're starting not to ask for that recognition. Councilman Romaine.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just want to briefly state Mr. Brickman is actually correct. Under Article 3, Section 6 of our own Rules of Procedure, resolutions are item 9 on an item list of 10. They're supposed to come last in the evening before adjournment. It goes Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, roll call, public comment, public hearings, communications agenda, highway agenda, consensus agenda, resolutions, local laws, adjournment. Mr. Brickman, you are correct, and we are violating our own Rules of Procedure.
Mr. Romaine, it says address the board. Let me just put this on the record for parliamentary purposes. Your Roman numeral 9 comes before public hearings, but if you don't get it, but if in fact if in fact public hearing, you get to the public hearings at 6:30 prior to addressing the board, or if you're in the middle of addressing the board, you have to go to public hearings. That's the law.
That's understood, but resolutions
But that's
are
the
last.
law.
We do resolutions first now.
It's the law.
It's the rules of
No,
procedure. We're
please.
supposed to do, it's right here, Mr. Supervisor.
Really, all we want,
Yes,
Mr.
go ahead.
Supervisor, is for the public to be able to
We
be
all
heard
understand that.
more
We all
often.
welcome that.
And so that they're
We
not here
all
for 2
welcome
nights
that.
and not be able to address the board.
We-
If we have 2 public portions, plus they speak on a resolution,
Unbelievable.
everybody's needs will be met, I think.
Welcome that. The problem is we started an hour later than we did before, and that hour is what has made all the difference. So, we can go on about this and posture on it. The fact is we all want to have the public speak. What it is the number of cars that have been filled out and the controversial issues that have garnered a lot of public attention that has caused 40 to 50 to 60 people to speak. That's what's caused things to go late into the night, not because of the arrangement of the order on the agenda. Okay? Mr. Kemp, please.
Oh,
Mr. Kemp.
Mr. Supervisor, if I may, Mr. Brickman had 51 seconds longer.
I thank the town clerk. I thank Councilman Romaine. I understand the Roman numeral 9 very well. I just wanted to say one more thing. If someone were to put a stopwatch on, how shall we call it, extensive diatribes, we would discover that a half an hour to an hour of the meeting is extended not because of some starting late at 5 o'clock deemed later than 4 o'clock. The reason is that we have to sit here and wait for everybody to say their piece.